The following is a local resident producers program. The program content is the sole responsibility of the producer and does not necessarily reflect the views or policies of Oshkosh Media, the City of Oshkosh, or Time Warner Cable.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Eye on Oshkosh. I'm your host Cheryl Hentz, and we're doing a little something different tonight. We've never had either of our guests on before, and so that's something definitely new. Both segments, though, are dealing with natural type foods, organic type foods, sustainability type things, and that type of thing. So, in this first segment, very, very pleased to welcome to the show for the first time, Dani Stolley. She is the president and founder of Growing Oshkosh. It's a nonprofit urban farming educational program. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Excellent. Well, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Appreciate
Thanks
it so much. And I also want to state that we were talking before we started taping tonight, and Dani said that her organization is quite often confused with and mixed up with and thinking that our next guest, that it's the same organization, and it's not. So we will separate those out tonight. So we'll set the record straight on that. So your organization, the next one it's the Oshkosh Food Co-op. You guys are Growing Oshkosh.
Correct.
That's
yes.
the organization.
Yes.
So tell us all about it. How long has it been in existence? How did it start? Why?
We have not been in existence very long. We have been farming since June of 2012. Okay. It actually started out as an idea in my head about 5.5, maybe 6 years ago. I was in grad school doing my thesis work in local food and community sustainability. And I was always intrigued. I've been an avid follower of Will Allen and Growing Power down in Milwaukee. He's sort of the urban farm guru, internationally known. He sits on Michelle Obama's garden committee for school gardens and that kind of good stuff. And I actually I went down and trained with him. They have a commercial urban ag training program. Mm-hmm. They basically teach you how to set up an urban farm, but also how to market your products, how to write a business plan, how to throw up a hoop house, how to grow microgreens, how to build an aquaponics system. So Growing Oshkosh is sort of the microcosm of Growing Power. I always like to say that we're kind of a chick farm because we were founded by all women, and a big difference between Growing Oshkosh and Growing Power is that we like to keep our farm a little bit prettier. We have a lot more flowers on our farm, and where they're more focused on production, we're more focused on youth education. But this is our fifth, I think it's growing season now. We've been very successful. We have a 1-acre farm over at the Hooper Community Center, which is an educational urban farm. And our main goal really is to teach kids how to grow their own food. So we started out the first year and we were just building our hoop houses and really trying to figure out who we were. We know where we wanted we know that we wanted to grow fresh local food, but we didn't exactly know if we were going to create an aquaponics system or if we were going to build raised beds. And the first year we kind of got that all out of the way. We did a pilot project at Head Start, and then another one, a school garden project at Emmeline Cook. And we realized right then and there that we had better switch our focus to youth education, because if the kids don't get it, the adults aren't going to get it either. So.
And isn't that funny? Because it used to be the other way around, where the adults would sort of pass things on to the kids.
Yes.
And now it's the kids getting these ideas
Yes.
and helping to get the parents excited
Yes.
and, kind of transforming their way of thinking.
Yes.
So.
Urban farming isn't anything new, and gardening certainly isn't, but there's something been lost in the last few generations now that we have a pretty broken food system, and we've just been working really hard at really figuring out how are we going to change eating habits. And once you get kids to grow their own vegetables and really understand what that means, then the passion kind of, we hope, trickles up to the parents who are ultimately the ones buying the food. So.
Sure. So, well, first of all, you mentioned this a couple of times. What is a hoop house?
A hoop house. A hoop house is a greenhouse, but instead of looking like sort of a steeple, it's it's hooped. So it's like an arc.
And is there some reason for that things grow better? In a
No,
hoop,
it's much easier to build a hoop house with steel bendable poles than it is to build a greenhouse with glass.
Okay.
Glass is particularly expensive. It can be very dangerous. So actually, our hoop houses are covered in a 6 milliliter plastic that lets UV rays in. It took us 3.5 weekends to put them up. They were all put up by volunteers, but it allows us to extend our season and offer many things in the spring and in the fall that your kind of traditional rural farmer won't be able to grow.
Okay, all right. So, when you talk about kind of catching the kids early and helping them to inspire and motivate, trickle up to the parents.
Yep.
Are you like going into the schools then and teaching things in the schools with these kids?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We have a very successful school garden program. We have school gardens at Emmeline Cook, Washington, Webster Stanley, Merrill, Reed, Oaklawn, Roosevelt, Franklin, and Smith.
Wow.
That's just been in the last 3 years. In the spring, we'll be building at Carl Traeger and very likely Jefferson, as well as a private school as well. What we do is we go into the classrooms, and every school is different. Sometimes we meet in the gym and everyone comes as a class, but every child has the opportunity to learn how to sow their own seeds. They learn what a seed is, where their food comes from, the 4 things required for growing food. And when we started 4 years ago, we asked all the children, do you know where your food comes from? And not a single one said a farm. But today, now that we go back, we ask the same questions, and they can name root vegetables, leafy vegetables, the difference between a microgreen and a lettuce.
Wow.
They know they're very, and everyone at these schools now knows what worm castings are, because they love the worm poo, because that's what we use as our fertilizer. Worm castings. So we do a day of seed sowing with them, and then they actually physically grow those in their classroom. And then in May, as soon as the weather permits, we go back to the schools and spend a whole day outside with them planting. And they partner up, and one person digs the hole, the other one plants it, the next one waters it. So everyone gets their hand dirty, and it's a real. It's not just a learning experience, but you're getting them outside as well, too. And everything that is grown, and how we do our school garden program is that for the most part, every grade level gets their own raised bed. So every grade kind of has ownership of a bed. And we fill it with fresh vegetables, flowers, herbs. The school gardens are maintained by us over the summer, but we also have many of the schools have instituted kind of an adopt-a-week program where a family will come in and do the weeding and watering, and then also get to take the food home. All of the food that's grown at the school gardens is for the schools, so however they want to incorporate it. They can't put it in the school lunches. That's a no-no, at least in our district, but they can have them for after-school snacks. We do several, in fact, my youth program manager right now is at one of our schools doing an after-school program. We work quite a bit with the Lighted Schoolhouse. We always work with the any of the after-school programs, any of the at-risk or special needs programs. We're working with a lot of those. We work a lot with the Boys and Girls Club, the kids from the YMCA. So we estimate that we are, through the schools right now, we're reaching at least half of the students. In addition, the other programs at the Y and Boys and Girls Club, and field trips and camps and workshops at our farm, in our kids-only garden, we're getting close to about 7,000 to 8,000 kids a year.
Wow,
so
that's incredible. And you've done all this in essentially 3 years.
Yes.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a tremendous accomplishment, I think. And so are you doing things other than just reaching out to the kids then, Dani, or what other kinds of programs do you have?
We have 3 core programs. One is our urban educational farm, and we do have, there are several different parts to the farm. We have 2 hoop houses. One has an aquaponics system that we show people how to grow food and fish together. We have several production beds outside, raised beds that we grow our crops for farmers market and retail. We have a hope and healing garden, which is full of flowers and herbs, which actually we'll be dedicating next week to some of our fallen friends of the farm who lost their battle with cancer. And so this hope and healing garden is really for those who are still suffering, and for family members that you can come and pick some flowers or some herbs, or what have you.
What a very nice idea.
And then then we have a kids only garden at the farm, and the kids do absolutely all the work. They sow everything, they harvest, they weed, they water. It's their garden, and it's really exciting to see kids when they come back after a couple months and see what they've grown. It's very, very exciting. So we've got the educational urban farm, then we've got the school garden program, and our goal there is to get at school gardens at least public Oshkosh area school district schools by 2020. So we have we have a large challenge ahead of us. Then the third program, which many people may not know about, and we've only done a few projects right now, is called our Hope Gardens. And what that is working with at-risk populations or campuses, or working with agencies to place raised vegetable gardens in places that need food and hope. So we did a great project at Court Tower for those folks there, and we made it so that everything was at waist height because they have a lot of folks with mobility issues and some senior citizens, and so rather than bending over, it's very easy to garden that way. That's been going very, very well. The residents love it. We also did a project with the Christine Ann Center, and that is a little bit more focused on the kids again, just kind of getting them outside and getting fresh air and learning things. And that's also been a really, really great partnership because there's, some of the young kids that come there have a lot of emotional issues, have a lot of, damage. And I've actually heard and seen mothers with tears in their eyes because some kids who don't focus very well can focus and not, exhibit their signs when they're in the garden. So it's been very, very great. We hope to expand the Hope Garden kind of concept, and that's our overall vision, is to create a network of these gardens all over Oshkosh, at schools, in places like food pantries, and we already have it. We have a bed at Head Start. We have several beds at the Boys and Girls Club, but places like that. We're also trying to work with neighborhood associations, and there's been a lot of them popping up in Oshkosh lately.
Yep.
And we're working with city planners to sort of plan that neighborhood association around a central gardening project. So a lot of work ahead of us, but it's an exciting thing to do, and it's something that's very, very close and dear to my heart because I love gardening, and I love being outside, and I want to share that kind of knowledge with folks. You know, and it's not just the vegetables either. I mean, yes, we're providing fresh, affordable, local food that you know is very accessible, but we are also investing a lot in flowers, annual flowers, but also native perennial flowers to get the pollinators back, because the butterflies have been down, the bees have been way down. And we're just trying to, and right now at the farm, the monarchs are going crazy. So
Well, that would be something to see. Where is the farm, by the way?
530 Bayshore. It's at the corner of Broad and Bayshore. It's right where the Hooper Community Center is. The United Way is housed there. We work a lot with the United Way. We work a lot with this cerebral palsy group. The same thing. They come out in the spring. They do a lot of flower planting for us, and then they come out and see their flowers grow, and it's great to see the smiles on their faces. I'm trying to think. There's another couple of groups in there. Oshkosh Family Services. They do you know, some work there, and then there's a number of different groups in there that work with children. So
Okay. You've accomplished so much since June of 2012, and yet so much more to go.
yes.
Like any, you know, grassroots organization. This is a really ambitious time frame by 2020. How many people are involved in working on this?
Well, currently we only have 2 actual staff people, myself as the
Wow.
executive director, yes, and our youth program manager, who started out as an intern from UW-Oshkosh for me 3 years ago, and I knew I had to keep her. And so I made her the school garden coordinator, and then once we really started to realize that youth education was where our focus was going to be, we created a whole mass of youth workshops and programs too. So we have a very solid volunteer base. We have a lot of really good neighbors that have kind of adopted the farm as their neighborhood project, their cleanup project. The River East Neighborhood Association in particular is really, really good. We work with agencies like AdvoCap and FSET, and they send their clients to us to work at the farm in exchange for food assistance, like SNAP or WIC or something like that.
Okay.
And one benefit to sending folks to Growing Oshkosh versus somewhere else to learn some janitorial skill or something like that. This is a real job skill, and it's something that everyone can really do quite easily. And the other thing is that because we're very focused on kids, you can bring your kids to work with you, and we will keep them very busy in the kids' garden.
Okay.
So, yes.
Well, you know, it just sounds so fun. And, you know, you talk about gardening and your love for it. When I was a kid growing up, I can remember we had a garden in the backyard. And, you know, we grew things like radishes and green onions and carrots and I don't even know what else. But, you know, it was vegetables.
Yep.
We had some fruit trees, but we had in this garden itself vegetables. And somewhere along the way, that sort of fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
Probably because my brother and I grew up, and he, I think, still has had some gardens in his yard and growing this, that, and the other. Strawberries, I think, was the last thing that he was working on. But, you know, I've gotten away from it. And I just said in this last year or so, I said, you know, we really should probably look at growing something again.
Yeah.
And so
It's one of the most sustainable things you can do for yourself and your family and your community is to just grow your own food.
Yeah. So I think, you know, next year, of course it's too late now to really do much of anything, but I think next year we'll be venturing out into the yard to do some gardening, and then I'll have to be talking to either you or one of my crew people here about keeping those rabbits out and things like that, because I know those are special challenges.
Yes, the rabbits, our lovely rodent friends.
Well, you know, you would think, I mean, that, you know, their nose is always going, and you would think that they wouldn't come around where there are dogs and so forth.
Yeah.
But no, they do.
Yeah.
And it's to their detriment.
Yes.
I don't like seeing anything be killed or die, but it, you know, they're fast, but they're
Yep.
not as fast as the dogs.
Yep.
And
Well, we have a pretty
So-
robust composting operation, so we hope that if they just leave our crops alone, they can eat whatever they want out of the compost.
there
So-
you go. Well, that should satisfy
That's for them,
but
yeah.
they never seem to be satisfied.
they're not
always
reading the
wanting
signs.
to. They're always wanting to root around in other stuff. Before we're completely out of time, you've got an event coming up on September 22nd.
Yes.
We're taping this on the 15th of September. So I will have it on YouTube later tonight or tomorrow. So folks, if you're watching this beforehand somehow, go to this event and tell your family and friends about it. If you're seeing it afterwards, call them and let them know, find out from them when the next event's going to be. But exactly what do you have coming up a week from tonight as we
from
tape
today,
this?
yes. So this is our third annual wine event and fundraiser. We have a sampling of probably 4 or 5.
There, we have it up there on the screen now for you.
Great. A sampling of 4 or 5 different wines from Allstate Wine Company. And we work with local chefs we work with the chefs that purchase our product from us to create some sort of lovely appetizer using what we have available right now. So we're actually working with Chef Dane at Gardina's, Chef Kyle at the Ruby Owl, Chef Mike at Skis, Chef Ruben at Beckett's. I think that's about it for our chefs. We'll also be providing a lot of the things that are available right now at the farm. I just picked my first cantaloupe today. We didn't plant any cantaloupe, but one came up in the bed and we decided to let it go. So we'll have some cantaloupe.
Now, how does something like that happen?
Oh, it's our composting. So
okay.
we try to grow our own soil as much as possible. So we have a pretty robust composting system. But of course, you're always going to have the strange seeds in there. So one of the things that happened this year at the farm was we topped off all of our production beds with this amazing compost that we sifted, and we ended up getting a dill farm because there were so many dill seeds. So we were pulling dill up out of everything. But we'll, and that's part of what we'll be kind of showcasing at the event is all the different things that are available right now. We have salads and microgreens. We've got eggplant, tomatoes, and cucumbers, zucchini, Swiss chard, all sorts of kinds of kale, our shoots. So we'll have a yummy supply of food. We'll also have non-alcoholic beverages.
Okay.
We'll have some beer available as well. And then this year, we always feature some live music as well. This year, we'll be joined by Jazz Orgy. So we're excited to have them. And then something special and unique this year is during the evening at 7 o'clock, our event goes from 5 to 7:30. At 7 o'clock, we'll be having a little formal dedication of our Hope and Healing Garden in memory of our farm manager who passed away last year, and also in memory of my father who passed away this spring.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
So, well, thank you. But part of the Hope and Healing Garden is to start to get people hopefully, mostly men, to start to think about their health a little bit more, a little bit earlier on. And so we'll be offering to those who are still suffering from cancer or any family members, any of the flowers or the herbs or anything that we grow in that garden is available to them at no cost all the time.
Okay.
So, but it's going to be a really fun event. We'll have raffle items, we'll have auction items, there'll be tours of the farm. At that time, usually when the sun is starting to set, it casts a beautiful glow on the farm, and everything just looks, so colorful and wonderful. So we hope people will come out. It's, as I mentioned, it's our annual fundraiser. It's a great time of year to be at the farm. Like I said, the butterflies are going crazy. And tickets are $35 or 2 for $60, and you can actually pay at the door day of. So if you're not quite sure what plans you have yet for next week, you can drop on by and we'll show you a very nice selection of our fresh, local, nutritious foods.
Okay. And you keep mentioning butterflies, and I know that folks can't see it, but Dani has on the cutest little pair of blue butterflies, and it's adorable. I don't know, was that intentional or?
It was. I wanted to make sure that I remembered to talk about the butterflies.
Okay.
And one of the other things, these blue. There's an endangered butterfly called the blue carner, and they only their host plant is the lupin. And we planted quite a bit of those at the farm. We haven't seen a blue carner yet, but we hope that someday all these monarchs will be bringing them. So.
Okay, excellent. So how much money are you trying to raise?
Ultimately, we'd like to raise, we always set a goal fairly high of about $10,000, but we think a realistic goal is $5,000. And that might seem like a little bit, it might seem like a lot, but it takes a lot of cash to run a nonprofit farm, just in facilities management. And not having a facilities manager right now, I'm very cognizant of all the different things that are breaking, and you have to repair, and fix the sink, and if the pumps go out, what do you do? That kind of thing. So, and we're also, all of our fundraising basically goes back into our youth education and our school garden program. So most of the money that goes into Growing Oshkosh goes to those two things.
Okay, and again, that's at 530 Bayshore Drive. If anyone doesn't know where that is, if you are heading east on
CP.
CP, yeah. Is it CP right off of? Is it CP right off of Main Street?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you head east onto CP, and just as soon as you get past the railroad tracks, hang a right, and right down there, the road sort of curves around.
Yes.
And there's lots of businesses and some warehouses and stuff like that back there, and the Hooper Building is right there on. Just when you start to make the turn, it's right there, right?
I always tell people you can, where's your farm, look for the train bridge when it's up, and then it points directly down to us, and it's the busiest rail in the state, and so the farm kind of rattles about 6 times an hour. So.
Well, as long as it doesn't do any harm to the growth process.
No, that actually helps. Vibrations, that's one of the things that plants need for growth is to air and vibration. So.
Very good. Yeah. I didn't realize that the vibration really helped with that, but I guess that makes sense. So we're down to about 3 minutes left. Just getting kids to eat healthier. I know that was one of the things that you wanted to chat about. So let's talk real briefly about that.
Yes, we have a very sad situation in our community in the Fox Valley. We have 75% of our kids are overweight or obese, and it's not just that they're eating a lot, it's that they're eating the wrong thing. Processed sugars, carbs, that kind of thing. And if you don't tell a kid that it's a vegetable and just let them try it first, you'd be surprised how many vegetables they really, really like. So it's just that getting them to taste it, and it tastes so much better when it's fresh and you grow it yourself. There's such pride in taking this seed and letting it grow for 6 months and getting that tomato. And like I said, the smiles on their face, it's just amazing. We also work with Rethink, which is a Winnebago County Health Coalition, and where we do kind of the boots on the ground work in terms of the gardening and the outdoor environment, the educational classroom sort of outside, then they take it inside and go further with nutrition workshops and classes and that kind of stuff. So we're the gardening folks, and they're the nutrition folks. But we've been working in tandem since we started our school garden program. And so it's a very, very good partnership that we hope will. Sure. We really want kids to eat healthier, because it's not just about the way you look or the way you feel, but it's about student readiness. It's about overall health and wellness. Sure. And so many of the chronic health issues right now stem from poor diet and nutrition. So if we get them eating vegetables young, then it won't be such a struggle for them or for parents later.
Okay, the Fall Family Fest, real quickly.
Yes.
What is it, and when will it be?
It is on a Friday evening, October 14th from 5 to 7. We'll have a petting zoo, courtesy of Glacier Ridge Farms. We will be having face painting, pumpkin carving. We have a pumpkin patch at our farm this year. We're growing all different crazy kinds of colors and sizes of pumpkins, so you can come and decorate. And just find out, there'll be a lot of family, youth-based activities as well. So it's kind of the last time you can come out to the farm before it kind of shuts down for the year. Big celebration. We'll have, hopefully we'll have some apple cider and some other good fall treats. So.
Well, you can't have a fall event without apple cider, right? So, okay, so that is coming up on Friday, October 14th, 5 to 7 p.m. at the farm. And if you're seeing this before the 22nd of September, they've got their annual fundraiser that evening as well from 5 to 7:30, also at the farm, 530 Bayshore Drive. Dani, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Good luck with everything.
Thanks.
Just sit tight. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
If you have expired or unused medication, don't flush it, pour it down the drain,
Good
or
luck
toss it
with
in the
this.
trash. Safely dispose of unwanted or expired medications at the
Yes.
drug drop box located inside the Oshkosh Police Department. It's convenient and anonymous, safe and secure, and it's open to everyone 24/7. Drop off your prescriptions, over-the-counter drugs, pet meds, and more. Keep drugs out of the reach of children and out of our water supply. Dispose of unwanted or expired medications at the drug drop box. For more information, visit the Oshkosh Police Department website at oshkoshpd.com.
Looking to give back to the community? Want to help fight hunger in the Oshkosh area? You can by donating food, your time, or your money. The Oshkosh Area Community Pantry needs more than 250 volunteers to operate and can always use new faces to help with a wide variety of tasks. The pantry cannot do it without you. Please consider helping fight hunger in Oshkosh. For more information, visit us online at oacptoday.org. That's oacptoday.org.
It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. It's said that a narrow vision is divisive, a broad vision expansive, but a divine vision is all-inclusive. Welcome all groups of citizens working for the greater good of the community. Speak your piece and be inclusive. The Oshkosh Civility Project is a community-based effort. More information at oshkoshcivilityproject.org.
And welcome back to the second half of Eye on Oshkosh. I continue to be Cheryl Hentz, your host. Our guest is different now, though. This time around, we are joined by Kelly Matthews. She is the board president for the Oshkosh Food Co-op. And if you haven't heard of the Oshkosh Food Co-op, you're going to hear all about it tonight, why you should join, what the benefits are of joining, and so forth. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm delighted to be
Appreciate
here.
it so much. Let's start out by saying, what is a food co-op? Let's answer that question for the audience.
We get that question actually a lot.
Yes.
I was so glad that you pointed out some of the confusion that we've had in the past with Growing Oshkosh and the Oshkosh Food Co-op. Basically, a food co-op is a community-owned grocery store. So Growing Oshkosh would be the people that would grow the things. The food co-op would be the place that you could go and buy them on the store in the produce aisle.
Okay.
So it would be the retail space to get products such that like Dani grows at Growing Oshkosh.
Okay.
The difference between that and a conventional grocery store is it's actually owned by the people of Oshkosh and the surrounding communities. So everyday person like you or me can actually become a store owner, which means then you get a say in how the store is run. You get benefits that aren't available to the general public. It is democracy in action.
Now, are there differences from co-op to co-op? What might be some of those differences?
Sure. Every co-op, because it's based in its own community, really is responsive to the community that it's at. So I know in some places there may be different sorts of products on the shelf because the people who own that store say these are the types of things we want there. Willie Street, I know in Madison, they're a co-op. Some people in Oshkosh and the surrounding communities might actually be members there because there wasn't a co-op option here yet. They've actually expanded several times in their stores. Some of them have delis, some of them have bakeries. It all depends on what the people in that community say that they want.
Okay.
So we know that having grocery stores and other options in Oshkosh, that we have a meat market downtown. So when we open our co-op, chances are we're not going to have a full service meat counter because we already have that available. So we'll use that space in other ways to offer something else for Oshkosh.
Okay. Well, and that's a nice thing that you're doing, really, is not being in competition
Exactly.
with other local businesses.
Nope. We want to be something that brings the pieces together and is another option, not something that's going to push somebody else out of the way.
Okay. Excellent. So tell us about the Oshkosh Food Co-op. You know, I learned a lot the other night because as we're taping this, I was at an event that they held 3 nights ago. It was Monday night over at the university, and I learned a great deal. It was really, I mean, it was 2 hours of jam-packed information. And I had my pen and I'm just taking notes fast and furious thinking, okay, I got to remember to ask about this, got to ask about this. Oh, this is of interest to me. And
Right.
I mean, my hand was like by the time I left. But it was such an informational packed event. So a lot of these questions I know, but a lot of these questions came out of that
Absolutely.
evening.
Yeah.
So the Oshkosh Food Co-op, how did it start? When did it start? Why did it start?
So it started probably late 2012, early 2013. There were a number of people in Oshkosh that started a conversation saying, we need an option like the co-op here. There wasn't a full-service grocery store that was dedicated to sustainable, healthy food options, and that was something that we knew that would be a benefit to our community. I was not a part of those early conversations, but one of the members of that group was actually Bridget Weber, who was the first president and one of the founders of the food co-op. Brenda Haynes was there. There were a few other people that are still with the project that were at those conversations. And so they took a leap and moved it from what we call kitchen table conversations, which is, wow, we should do this, to, no, we're gonna do this. And so we actually pitched our project at the Building a Stronger Community event, which is an American democracy project that Paul Van Auken and others at the university put on. We were the very first winners. So people from the community came and voted, and with their voting dollars, they basically granted us the seed money of $1,500 to incorporate.
Wow.
And so that's where we started. And what is awesome is Growing Oshkosh was actually the winner of the second year. And so we've been part of this food trend, which actually isn't a fad, but a recognition of how important healthy food is in Oshkosh. So we got incorporated in 2013. Took that first year to really seriously do our due diligence and make sure that we had a strong team available, to make sure that we had researched some of our options. We got connected to the experts that we needed to connect with to start our market study. And then by 2014, we did a public launch for membership. The first 100 members that joined us were what we call founding members. Their dollars went to supporting this market study to see that and ensure that this was actually a feasible project in Oshkosh. Mm-hmm. And our feasibility study came back and said, yes, indeed it is, which was great news. And so then we even launched a further membership drive. We doubled our membership in 2015, which was pretty phenomenal. And in the last year, we actually were awarded a seed grant of $10,000 from the Food Co-op Initiative. They are a national group that supports startups all around the country. There's about 120 communities they're working with, one in Hayward, one in Manitowoc, so we're not the only ones in Wisconsin doing this. And it was a competitive grant process. We had the top-rated application in the entire nation.
Wow.
We were so thrilled. It was pretty exciting. So with that came a $10,000 check for us to continue our membership outreach, and it also comes with strategic planning. They have startup specialists that have actually traveled to Oshkosh to work with us that we don't have to pay for, which consulting can be very expensive.
Oh, yeah. Yep,
and they have such insider expertise about how to do it well. And I know a lot of people have been like, man, this has taken so long. Why can't we just open tomorrow? And what we know is that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Mm-hmm. And so that means that we do need to take time to really study and make sure that we're doing all the steps right to make sure that this co-op stays open.
Well, one of the things that I learned the other night is that it usually, when you're doing it right, it generally takes 4 to 6 years from inception or conception to actually opening the doors. Yes. So what is it that takes that long? Because when I think about 4 to 6 years, I'm thinking, man, that's a long time.
It is.
And yet, the older I get, the faster the years are going by, which I think anyone who's advancing in age can say that. But it does seem like a long time. So what's going on during those 4 to 6 years?
Sure. Part of it is board development and making sure that you have your team in place and they are well trained to actually do the work of a board. Because a lot of people who come, all of our board are volunteers, and they come from all sorts of different walks of life in Oshkosh. None of them have ever opened a co-op before. And so we're learning about the process, we're learning about all the steps that it takes, we're learning about how do you do a market study and a feasibility study and what does that all mean. We're working with the city to find a location in the central city area that will both fit our needs and fit the needs of the city of Oshkosh and the surrounding communities, because that's important to us. We are researching food deserts and the impact that co-ops can have on accessibility for food for people who don't have easy access to grocery stores. We are researching the zoning and the number of parking spaces and thinking about how do we fund a capital campaign, because we actually have to pay for this $1 million+ project, and how is that going to happen?
Sure.
So all of these pieces, we're learning how to build a website, right? Like all those pieces, how to do the marketing, how to do the outreach, how to help people in Oshkosh understand why a co-op is different from a conventional grocery store. And so we slowly build that along the way. And as we do all that outreach and build the numbers and we take these other steps to make our co-op happen, by the time we get our membership numbers in order, we should be ready to open the store.
Sure. And you mentioned about a website, and they do have a website, and we could put that up anytime here. And I, neglected to mention when our last guest was on that there it is. I neglected to mention when she was on also that Dani and her organization have a website as well. So hopefully the crew put that up during the show. And but if not, you can just contact me and I'll get you the information. But so you guys do have a website, and it is evolving, and you've got a Facebook page. And what other accomplishments have you had so far?
So part of them are small little victories along the way, like making sure our technology is working so we can do e-blasts effectively. Like that's something that you wouldn't think would take a while, but having a board that's learning a process, like we have to figure that out. Reaching out to the folks that make that work so that we can get the work done better. We've received a $5,000 donation from an anonymous member in our community who heard about our project and wanted to make sure that some of her dollars supported that kind of food outreach in Oshkosh, which I think was really exciting. And so now we are partnering with the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation. So they're our fiscal agent for that. So if folks want to make donations of any amount, they can actually go through that arm as well. The top-rated application for the Sea Grant was pretty big news. And then as of Monday, we surpassed over 300 members in our member drive, which is significant in that, so we didn't know 2 years ago when we did this member event, we did something very similar where we invited people to bring people they know to come hear more about the co-op. And we had a pretty tight system of making sure that people were connected in. We brought a speaker who had been the GM of the lacrosse co-op, and she has ties to Oshkosh, and so she wanted us to be successful. She came out and spoke. We got 45 members in that night.
Wow.
We found out Monday night when our speaker was there, this time from the Food Co-op Initiative, that had never been done before, anywhere in the nation by any startup. We're like, whew, probably good we didn't know that, because that was a little nerve-wracking. So we found out on Monday night, we actually broke our own record, and we got 46 people to join. So to do it back to back.
Just that night?
Just that night.
Well, I didn't know how many, but
46.
when I left, and I did have to get going, I looked at the line, and I thought, man, they're getting a lot of people signing up for this. And, let's talk a little bit about the benefits of joining, because right now there is not a brick and mortar location to go to. So the membership fee to join is $180.
Right.
And I was surprised to learn, but pleasantly so, that that's not $100, $180 a year.
Correct.
That's a lifetime thing. It's a one-time only thing, unless Brenda Haynes explained it the other night. Unless something else significant comes up,
like
or
an expansion or something.
Yeah,
like
something
that.
to those. Something to that extent. So $180, and the you can probably say it better than I, but if you can't pay it all in one lump sum, it can be broken down into monthly installments. which comes down to
$11 a month.
Yeah, $11 a month, which is not bad. So, but since you don't have a bricks and mortar store right now, what are they actually getting for their $180?
Right. So big picture of community of Oshkosh investment, it makes our community stronger when we have options coming like food co-ops. So if you're one of those people who is a visionary and says, you know, we've seen Oshkosh do lots of amazing things like building an inclusive playground over at South Park. That happened, like people put up the money before it ever happened. So thinking about how do we invest in a vision of the Oshkosh we want to have. So that's kind of the big picture of it. If you're like a nope, I want something on the table sort of person, we have some member benefits like we're having a sale coming up with Titan Gold Compost. So we're getting member exclusive benefits of 50% off that we'll be able to offer folks. So we know you can either put your garden to bed for the fall with compost or get ready for spring. Compost doesn't go bad, throw it in your potting shed, it'll be fine until spring. So they're working with us to give a benefit. Bare Bones Brewery, the owner of that brewery is actually a co-op member, Dan. Okay. He's going to be offering some Member Monday events for us that will be exclusive for co-op members. Okay. October 10th, we just found out, from 5 to 7:30, we're going to be doing Be a Member Monday, which is anybody who's currently a member and folks who want to become members or find out more can come, hang out, mingle with the board, get their questions answered. It's not going to be a hard sell. It's just going to be a chance to build community, which is what co-ops do. Sure. Anybody who joins that night, free case of beer. What?
A free case?
A free case.
Wow.
I know. And the person who brings them will get a free six-pack. So
wow.
That we thought was a very generous support. And so that's one of the things that co-ops help support local businesses. Those local businesses help support co-ops.
And is that going to be at Bare Bones Brewery?
It will be at Bare Bones. And so they're closed Monday nights. He's opening especially for us for this event.
Well, that's neat as well.
Yeah.
And when you say that there's not a hard sell, I mean, I have to say that I went in to Monday night's event without any preconceived ideas about what it might be, you know, because I had no idea what it might be, you know, but it truly was no pressure. And I'm not just talking no high pressure, I'm talking no pressure at all. Nobody forced you to sign anything, nobody did anything. And that was really refreshing, especially in this day and age, because so many people are, you know, pushing you to do this and pushing you to do that and join here and sign here and give me your credit card number here. There was none of that. And that was so refreshing, Kelly, really.
I'm glad to hear that.
So, you know, if you're interested in doing this on October 10th from 5 to 7:30 at Bare Bones Brewery, which is out along Highway 45. You can look them up on the internet to get the exact address. But as you're going down Highway 45, it's near Riff Road, and it is the brightest red building you ever wanted to see in your life.
And it's right also off the Wheelwash Trail. And so we're
Yes.
going to be putting out an email to our members and on Facebook about where we're going to meet for a bike ride if you're interested in biking out there.
Oh, very nice.
So make sure you do have a bike light, though, and a helmet, because that's important.
Yep. And probably a bike license, too. So so that's a really good deal. So if you're thinking about going to that, you truly can rest assured that there's not going to be somebody twisting your arm and, you know, putting their other arm into your checkbook or your pocketbook, because that's not going to happen.
Nope.
So I'm glad to hear that there are some membership benefits, even though you don't have a bricks and mortar store. The other thing that was interesting to me as I was listening to this the other night is it's called a local co-op, but it's local in a big way. It's within 100 miles, and that is pretty significant. I mean, that takes in a huge region. So when people are setting up co-ops, then, Kelly, do they make certain that they're not stepping on someone else's toes?
Normally, they're community-based, and they tend not to be too close together because you do cover a certain amount of range. Co-op shoppers are very dedicated because they are actually the owners. They don't have to be. You can be a non-owner and still shop there, but the people that buy into the store literally make a point of economically supporting that store once it's open. Right now, the closest co-op that we have is Stevens Point, and there's also one in Madison at Willie Street, and we do have people from our community that drive all that way to do their shopping. I know my doctor in Fond du Lac actually just mentioned she was so excited to hear about this project because she drives down to Milwaukee right now to get her groceries from a co-op, and she would much rather come up to Oshkosh and do that. So when you think about the economic development, it does tend to be a certain sort of regional bubble that co-ops respect.
Sure.
But the impact as far as working with farmers from around the state, like we'll make sure, we're not going to push out some farmer that's already working with Willie Street. What will probably happen is we'll actually expand their production if they know that they have another place that will be significant for them to put their product on a regular basis. So we might actually grow economically. Some of those farmers that are small scale now may expand or may open another smaller site farm to support additional produce coming to us.
So, as someone sitting there listening to this program and hearing us talk, they may be saying to themselves, big deal, what's the benefit of a local co-op? I can just go to Pick and Save, or if there's a COPS around, or Festival Foods or whatever. What is the difference between going there or going to a co-op?
So what is true is when people go grocery shopping, they usually have 3 stores that they hit on a regular basis. We want to be in that top 3. We don't have to be the only store you ever go to, but what makes co-ops different is when you go to a conventional grocery store like Festival, about 20% of your dollar stays local. When you shop at a co-op in your community, 32% stays local, which is a significant amount, especially over time.
Sure.
The first year we're open, we are estimated to spend about $700,000 in local produce and sales and products. By time we've been open for 10 years, we're looking at $7 million in local economy in our region and our state. Co-ops also tend to treat their employees better with benefits, higher livable wages, those sorts of things. And co-ops also have some additional principles that they operate by, which is that community involvement piece, but also education is a key component of co-ops. And so offering classes, helping people understand, what do you do with a rutabaga?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know, the first time I had one, I was probably 32 years old. The first time I had a rutabaga in my hand, I was like, I don't know what to do with this. Co-ops are places that you can actually come and learn about that kind of stuff. Some of the benefits are for members, those classes might be low cost or free, while the general public might have to pay a small fee to come.
Sure. Now, if someone joins the Oshkosh Food Co-op, Kelly, and obviously there's not a place to go to shop right now, but they want to go to Stevens Point, I mean, which is only an hour from here,
Right.
and I know someone in Stevens Point, so I sometimes go there anyway.
Right.
So if I'm a member here, don't have a bricks and mortar store here, but if I go to one in Point or in Madison or wherever, is my membership honored there? Can I shop there? And well, I know you don't have to be a member to shop there, but if they have some specials, can I take advantage
You
of
get
those
the
specials?
benefits.
Yes.
So the co-ops, one of the 7 principles of co-ops is that co-ops support other co-ops. And so in most cases, if you go in and say, hey, I'm a member at the Oshkosh Food Co-op, they're not going to ask, do they have a brick and mortar? They're going to say, fantastic, we're so glad you're here. And they're going to offer those and extend those member benefits to you. I was up in Ashland. They have a co-op, and it's beautiful. And I told them I was a member of Oshkosh Food Co-op, and they said, great. They rung up the discount and bagged up my stuff and put me on my way.
Excellent. Well,
So,
very good.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, what do you guys do with the money right now that you're taking in from people?
So right now we have a couple accounts. One of our accounts is basically our savings account, which accounts for most of the equity that we have raised so far. We did have to spend a significant amount of money when we did our market feasibility study. That was about $15,000. Part of those costs are because it is very detailed and industry-specific information. There's only a few people in the nation that actually carry out those sorts of studies. So that was one of the biggest outlays of money that we had so far. Some of the money is spent for beautiful yard signs and brochures and T-shirts and paying for the space that we were at Monday. But our board is very careful about guarding that equity and making sure that it has not just returns, but significant returns as far as membership. We were in contact with Jacqueline Hanna, who's our strategic startup specialist, and she was talking about how sometimes co-ops are too scared to spend that money while they're starting up. If you don't ever spend any of that money, you won't ever have a store. And so we've been very thoughtful about how do we provide events, provide outreach, and use that money in such a way that it either furthers our goals in developing our business plan and getting the store open, or that it brings people in membership so that we get the store open. Those are our 2 big thrusts.
Okay. So somebody asked me to ask
Yeah.
you if they were to join and then the co-op itself, as far as the bricks and mortar store, never come to be. You know, I don't think that's going to happen.
Me neither.
I think you guys are going to have a store, but weird things happen.
They do.
So let's say you never get this off the ground completely, and a bricks and mortar store never comes to fruition. They wanted me to ask you if they get their money back. And I said, I will ask that.
I appreciate the question.
I mean, in my mind, I'm going to take a stab at this. I would say no, because they've gotten benefit all that time, but I'm going to let you answer the question.
All
Do
right.
they get their money back?
So what is true is we actually get this question a fair amount, and it speaks to me to the amount of people in Oshkosh that are just practical and want to make sure they're making a good investment. What is true is this money is at risk. And so it is not a guarantee that you will ever see your $180 again if you hand it over to us in membership. What is true is we've been very careful to do our due diligence, and we're working with industry experts to make sure that we make the right steps in the right order to do that. But if for some reason the store does not happen, though I have to tell you right now, we have been named one of the top 20 co-op startups in the nation to watch. So that gives me a little bit of hope that this thing is actually going to go. But if it doesn't, we would then have to pay all of our creditors, just like anybody else that would in that sort of debt situation, make sure all of those bills are accounted for, close our accounts, and then it would go back. Whatever was left would be divided among the members that were in good standing with us.
Okay. All right. Well,
So
that's better than my answer.
So it's true, you do get benefits all this way, and we would hope that
Well, sure,
it doesn't come
of
to
course.
that. But
And really, you know, $180, when you just think about it, it seems like a lot, but spread over a lifetime, or paying $11 a month, that makes it seem much more palatable and easy on the pocketbook.
Totally.
And let's face it, everybody's watching every dollar that they have these days, and rightfully so. There was one other question that I had with regard to a co-op. Since members are store owners, do they get to share in profits when it gets to the point where you're making profits?
So every co-op handles it a little bit differently. I'm actually still a member. I lived in Iowa City for 10 years before we moved here 8 years ago, and I'm still a member. And when I would shop there, if you spend a certain amount of money per quarter, you actually got a dividend check back, which I was like, great. You could either keep it, cash it, or you could donate it back to the store to invest in the sorts of projects that they invested in to make their community better. Yeah. Sorry, I lost the question for a second.
Do you get to share in profits?
Oh yes, share in profits. So what is true is the members who join, people were talking about why should I join now? You actually get to help decide that and what that looks like. How do we share those profits back? How do we give those benefits? Is it going to be through actual checks? Is it going to be through member events that we sponsor that they're exclusive just to members? But there is some sort of way that some of that money goes back to the people in some form that own the store, and then some of it is invested back into the store and into the community to make it better, and the owners get to decide what those projects are.
Okay.
So it's kind of a bang bang for good.
Sure. And like with any nonprofit, you have bylaws and so forth
Absolutely.
that your organization runs on and is governed by. And, you know, Brenda Haynes from Blue Door Consulting, who kind of emceed this event.
Yeah.
I don't, MC isn't the right word, but for lack of a better word, that's what she did, and she did a great job of it. But she was, you know, she really went out of her way, I think, to emphasize that it's a very open, transparent organization. The bylaws and so forth are online, are
They're
they?
on our website.
Okay.
Yep, on the first
So
page,
again,
there's a click.
go to the website and, you know, click on the link that is. Does it say bylaws or
It says
what?
there's one of the articles of incorporation, and then there's a bylaws button.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So click on both those and take a look. You know what? I thought I had some more questions here, and I think you've done such a good job of answering questions that, boom, you've blown through some of my questions here. But we're almost out of time anyway. But just in the remaining time, where are you at right now? You've kind of covered this, but what's the next step? Where are you at right now, and what's the next step? What are you doing
Absolutely.
next?
So as we passed 300 members, that was our milestone marker to let us know that we could start our pro forma documents, which are financial documents that set the stage for our business plan, which comes later, which will then help us be able to secure funding. When we hit 500 members, we developed that business plan. We hit 750, and this is what everybody wants to know, that's when we get to secure a location. So some folks want to know, where is the store? When does that happen? When we hit 750 members. When we hit 1,000 to 1,200, we open. So if every member right now gets 3 friends and they join, we're ready. Open the doors.
Excellent. Well, very good. Well, go to OshkoshFoodCoop.com or check them out on Facebook. And, you know, if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, I would really strongly encourage you to, you know, to go ahead and join. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
And
so
best of
much.
luck with this. I think it's a wonderful idea. And, you know, it's something that we need.
Absolutely.
So-
We agree.
Yeah. Thanks so much for
Cheryl.
being here.
Bye-bye.
And that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you to both Kelly and to Dani from the first half of the show. Thanks to the crew, and as always, thanks to you. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't need to be here. So thank you very much, and we will see you next time. Until then, take care. Keep your eye on us. We've got our eye on Oshkosh.